Hi, boys and girls. Happy Friday. We've made it through another week, which is super exciting. I'm very proud of all of your hard work throughout this time. Anderson is our superstar today. Congratulations to Charlotte M. for such an amazing video yesterday. Thank you. I know it was a little bit late, but better late than never. I have started watching some of your passion projects that you've been turning in, and they are amazing. Sam Fletcher, Finn Pitts, Madeline, Helen. I've already gotten yours and watched them. Super duper job explaining your passions. This is going to be so much fun. So for those of you that have not turned in your video, today is the day. We're going to get right to our book, Goonie Bird Green, and we're going to find out about Napoleon. Remember, he's not the Emperor of France. He's a large black poodle. Every hand in the second grade class shot up, even Felicia Ann's. I knew that would happen, Goonie Bird said. I just knew it. Time for the intermission. Mrs. Pigeon, do you want to deal with this? Mrs. Pigeon nodded. She thought for a moment. Then she announced, every child who has a poodle, put your hand down. 4 hands went down. Now, Mrs. Pigeon said, every child whose grandmother has a poodle, hands down. 7 more kids lowered their hands. Every child who knows a poodle that does interesting tricks or that gets in trouble, who can run away, hands down. Other hands went down, and now there were just 3 hands still in the air. Beanie, what kind of dog do you have? Mrs. Pigeon asked. Golden Retriever. That's lovely, Ben. Corgi? Good. And finally, Trisha? I don't have a dog, Trisha said sadly. I'm allergic to dogs. And my mother said I can never, ever have one, or even a cat, not ever, because I might have a terrible asthma attack. And then I would have to go to the hospital, maybe in an ambulance. And we understand, Trisha. And now let's go back to the story, because we still don't know what happened to Napoleon or about the palace, said Kiko. And the earrings. Goonie Bird shook her head a little so that the earrings moved and sparkled in a glamorous way. Listen for the word suddenly, Goonie Bird advised. I put one in the story already, but I like to sprinkle in several. Some other suddenlies will be coming soon. Suddenly is a transition word. If you look behind me, I have a list of transition words there. Do you see all these transition words? And all of a sudden, I have written here, but suddenly comes from the root word sudden. So all suddenly means all of a sudden. Goonie Bird examined the prince's backyard. She saw a place where the ground was disturbed by the corner of the fence. Look, she said. See this bit of dog hair caught in the fence? That looks like Napoleon's. See, she said next, pointing to some newly dug earth. Here is where Napoleon wiggled under the fence. What a good detective you are, the prince said to Goonie Bird. Goonie Bird let herself out of the yard and through the gate. She sniffed. She listened. Suddenly, there's the suddenly, said Malcolm. Good listening, said Goonie Bird. Then she continued. Suddenly, because of the clues that she smelled and heard, Goonie Bird moved forward. There, at the end of the alley, was an overturned garbage can, and there, with his head inside the can, was Napoleon eating garbage. He had coffee grounds all over his face, and an orange peel was stuck on one of his ears. You naughty thing, Napoleon, Goonie Bird said, and she took hold of his collar. Napoleon burped. Oh, no, Kiko cried. Not garbage, not burping. Shh, the other children said. Many hands were waving in the air. Mrs. Pigeon stood up. No stories about dogs eating garbage, she said firmly. Not a single one. All of the hands went down. Please, please, please tell us about the palace and the prince and the earrings, Chelsea begged. I'm about to, Goonie Bird said. Goonie Bird took Napoleon back to his house. The prince asked Goonie Bird to go to the palace for a reward. Did you get all dressed up in a ball gown? Beanie asked. Maybe a tiara? Asked Trisha. I hadn't planned to describe clothes, Goonie Bird said, but since you asked, I'll insert a little descriptive passage here. When she went to the palace, Goonie Bird was wearing clothes from the L.L. Bean catalog. She wore island hopper shorts with front flap pockets and a point-tail knit tank top in sun yellow. Wow, that's very descriptive. The prince had on rugged canvas shorts and polyester and nylon pale khaki plaid short-sleeved. Malcolm disappeared under his desk. Ben picked up his arithmetic book and began to do some problems. Nicholas put his head down on his arms and closed his eyes. Goonie Bird stared at them. Am I boring you? She asked. Yes, said the class. Yes, the class said, all but Felicia Ann, who was silent, and Kiko, who was not bored at all. What color were the Island Hopper shorts? Kiko asked. I hope blue. As a matter of fact, they were deep sea green with true blue stripes down the sides. I might wear them to school on Wednesday. Oh, good, Kiko said. I'll continue now, Goonie Bird said. It doesn't matter what clothes the prince had. The main character in the story is Goonie Bird. And it is important to tell a lot about the main character because the main character is right smack in the middle of everything. All the others are just minor characters, and it is boring to tell about their clothes. Or you could call them secondary characters, Mrs. Pigeon pointed out. Excuse me for interrupting, Goonie Bird, but I'll just write that on the board. Secondary characters. Goonie Bird waited patiently while Mrs. Pigeon wrote. Then she breathed deeply and was about to continue, but she looked at the class. She walked down the classroom aisle to Malcolm's desk and peered under it. Malcolm was asleep on the floor. Ben was doing his arithmetic, and Nicholas was making his thumbs wrestle with each other. His left one was winning. This is my fault, Goonie Bird said loudly. I have failed to hold your attention. Of course, it didn't help that Mrs. Pigeon interrupted, but I blame myself for not inserting enough suspense into the story. Stories need suspense, Goonie Bird said, so I shall try to add some. Shall I continue the story now? Yes, said Mrs. Pigeon. Yes, said the children, all but Malcolm, who was still asleep, and Felicia Ann, who never said anything. So Goonie Bird continued. I'll start right off with a suddenly. That always wakes people up. Suddenly, when they entered the palace, Goonie Bird needed to go to the bathroom. Malcolm woke up. He popped up from under his desk. I have to go to the bathroom, he said. Go, Mrs. Pigeon told him and pointed to the classroom door. Malcolm hurried from the classroom. Did the palace have bathrooms? Beanie asked. Oh, I'm sorry, she added. I forgot to raise my hand. Yes, Goonie Bird said. The palace has 2 bathrooms. Gentlemen and ladies. And what about the diamond earrings? Tricia asked. I'll finish the story now, Goonie Bird said. When she came out of the ladies' room, Goonie Bird saw a gumball machine. In a palace, Kiko said. Shh, the other children said. Goonie Bird continued. Goonie Bird had not had a gumball for at least 4 months. She wanted one, and she had brought her money collection since she always carried it with her in a very heavy Ziploc baggie. Her arms had developed big muscles from carrying her money collection. Goonie Bird stopped the story for a moment and held up her arms to display the muscles. Then she went on. So Goonie Bird took a penny from her money collection and put it in the gumball machine. But instead of a gumball, out came diamond earrings. It was quite a pleasant surprise, and she screwed it onto her left ear. After that, she felt lopsided. Oh, there was only one earring. She felt lopsided, but she could see that there was another earring inside the gumball machine. So she put in another penny, and she got a blue gumball. It probably matched the true blue stripes on her sea green shorts, Kiko pointed out. In a loud whisper, shh, said the class. Goonie Bird continued. Goonie Bird put the blue gumball into her mouth. It made a large lump in her cheek, and it tasted like spearmint. She felt doubly lopsided now, so she took another penny from her money collection and put it in the gumball machine. This time she got a yellow gumball. She put the yellow gumball into her mouth, and now she had a large lump on both sides of her face. So her face wasn't lopsided, but her head still felt a little lopsided because she only had one diamond earring. So she put another penny in and she got a red gumball. She put it into her pocket to save for later. Now her hips felt lopsided. She took another penny from her money collection. This time she got an orange gumball and put it into her other pocket. And now her hips weren't lopsided anymore, but she still had only one diamond earring. All right, I'm going to pause for today there, and we will find out. Here is the teacher. She is watching this story as Goonie Bird is telling it, Mrs. Pigeon. All right, we'll find out if she ever got the other diamond earring tomorrow. Happy Friday, boys and girls. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to turn in your passion projects, and we'll see you soon.